Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Hellsing Ultimate. Last time around, we continued the battle at the Hellsing Mansion, where most of the wild geese unfortunately perished, including Captain Bernadotte, but he was able to help Saris, who had been injured. That's putting it mildly. She lost her eyes, she lost her arm, she lost blood. Things weren't good for either of them, but he basically gave his blood to her so that she would be a fully realized vampire, and then she just beat the ever-loving hell out of Zoran, so that was fun. Yeah. And then Saris, fully realized with a wavy blood arm thing, is now headed out back to London to get to Integra and aid in the fight. So that's pretty much that. Like always, the reaction is down in the description and in the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. So let's go ahead and jump right into this episode of Hellsing Ultimate. Here we go. Okay, that was something. That was very hype. That was very, very hype. As a side note, you probably noticed if you were watching the full length, but this took a very long time for me to do because I had to stop like twice in the middle of this episode because I'm trying to keep my dog from going outside where there's currently a convention of the squirrels, and I don't want him running around for 8 hours losing his mind. So yeah. But it's alright. It's alright. It's all good. So good, man. And we're all good. We're all good here. So, we began with Maxwell. That didn't last long. I guess I knew Maxwell's whole thing didn't last long, but that really didn't last long, you know? I love his stupid flying Pope mobile. That was really funny. But yeah, but he was not following the path of God anymore. He was only doing it for himself, basically. And thus, he had to be killed. Which is an interesting thing. I feel like this is a great episode to, like, delve into Anderson's character, you know? And even, like, with Alucard as well. And not just for all the Dracula stuff, but just I like that here we kind of get the continuation of his whole humanity thing, you know? Because that was sort of a question with Saris, you know? But now, well, Saris has become a vampire. She has basically given up her humanity, Jojo. But, I mean, she is still the same girl, you know? She's just, you know, she's not half-assing it anymore. No more half measures, Saris. No more half measures from her. So that's the thing. But I like how, you know, when he realizes that Anderson is going to use the thorn or the nail on himself, then Alucard is like, no, don't do that. Do not become like me, you know? Like, he's, and especially too, I like because he says, you know, for him to be defeated, it needs to be by a human, you know? He needs to be defeated by a human, and Anderson will no longer be human. He will be a monster of God. A biblically accurate angel. But yeah, but that's an interesting thing, you know? That's a very interesting thing, just seeing Alucard just being concerned, you know? And I don't know if it's like genuine concern for Anderson, or if it's just, you know, it's the creation of another monster, you know? Maybe for him, he might even think, well, because he knows he's a monster, but at the same time, it's like, but he is also under Hellsing, you know? Like, I don't want to say, like, oh, he thinks of that as, like, a penance or something, but maybe he does, I don't know. But, like, but that's the thing, it's like, he does not He honestly doesn't want, even though, yes, he has fun with these wars and everything, he doesn't want... I guess for him, there's a difference between a terrible human and a monster, you know? Like, he'll fight Anderson, he'll fight the Major and the Nazis and everything, even though the Nazis now are artificial vampires, you know? But it's a strange, like... I don't even want to say, like... It's almost like a gatekeeping thing. Like, he's gatekeeping being monsters, you know? But at the same time, it's like... But there are pros and cons to that, you know? For him, at least. Like, a pro is, you know, he looks at these artificial vampires and he's like, what is this? You know? Don't you dare insult me or my culture, basically. My culture, which currently is me, you know? But at the same time, I don't know. It's interesting seeing his sort of concern. I mean, well, maybe there's also a difference of, you know, I want to say with something like, you know, if you watch this or if you watch like JoJo or something, I feel like, because that also deals with some vampires, like, I feel like with vampires in fiction, vampires, like, yes, vampires are monsters. I feel like maybe, and maybe this is kind of what the author is going for with what Alucard is saying, is that vampires are different, you know? Vampires are different from other monsters. I mean, just looking at what Anderson becomes, like, he is not Anderson anymore, you know? Now, granted, there's the question of, well, is Alucard still the same man he always was, you know? Is he still Vlad the Impaler, the Prince of Wallachia? Or is that just so far gone from his mind, you know? Because he does look at Saris and thinks, well, you need to become a real vampire. But when she points out, you know, that she might lose her humanity, he does say, like, you may have a point, foolish as it is, you know? I don't know. So it's like, what is... You have to kind of wonder, it's like, so what is the difference to him between, like, Saris becoming a vampire, which he completely encouraged and wanted her to do, and now she has done, and Anderson becoming a monster of God, you know? I guess maybe another thing, too, is a matter of choice. Now, Anderson obviously chose to become a monster, but once he did that, that was it, basically. Like, there's nothing left of Anderson at that point, you know? So, maybe that's it, is because you can retain your sense of self, you know? If you want to say, like, well, Saris is a monster strictly because she is a vampire, versus Alucard, who, yes, he's a vampire, but he is also a monster. Like, he chooses to be a monster. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. I'd love to hear, like, any thoughts on this in the comments of, like, what defines a monster for Alucard, and why is it that he's more okay with vampirism, true vampirism, and he's not okay with some of this other stuff? I like, the artificial vampire is pretty obvious, but something like this, it's like, yes, obviously, this isn't as elegant as a vampire, but I don't know. It's an interesting thing. It's an interesting, you know, thought-provoking thing. And I like that, because that is something that is, you know, not touched on in the Abridged. You know, the Abridged is out here to make jokes and have a good time, and that's all great. And we talk about some of the pros of the Abridged, but I do like that that is sort of a running theme, a running question throughout the original version, you know? What makes a monster, and are some monsters more acceptable than others? I don't know. But yeah, but all of that was really good. I love the fight. I mean, we got to see Dracula, you know? I love that. I love, you know, Integra just releasing his full power completely, because, like, it's what they need right now. And the fact that, you know, all of them just being shocked, like, oh my god, like, realizing Dracula's true power. Like, all of his subjects, he devoured all of them, you know? He consumed all of their blood. Even their horses. he consumed everyone in Wallachia, you know? Everyone he has ever consumed now lives within him, and he has unleashed them upon the Crusaders, the Third Reich, everyone. And it's ridiculous, you know? It's absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, it's like, I love that. And exactly the question I posed during the reaction is, has there ever been another version of Dracula in fiction who was as powerful as Dracula's portrayed in this episode, you know? And like, they show a little bit. Dog didn't just get up, did he? I don't know. I'm hearing him moving around in the other room. That's alright. Like in the original Hellsing, they show a bit of it in the last episode. Granted, that last episode, I don't know what the hell happened there. Those last 2 episodes of the original Hellsing just kind of went weird, you know? Not that Hellsing isn't weird, but that was particularly weird. But anyway. But yeah, but I don't know, like, you know, normally a Dracula movie is the book, you know? It's going over, like, well, he's, you know, going after Mina and all this stuff, and it's, you know, Professor Van Helsing driving the stake through his heart at the end, you know? So, I don't know. But, because even, like, maybe the closest, and that's the interesting thing, the closest I can think is, like, the Castlevania show, where they have Dracula in that, and he fights Alucard, and he's really strong in that one, but just the level of power, the fact that in this episode, Dracula unleashed everyone he ever drank, you know? It is absolutely ridiculous, you know, all the people of Wallachia. So, I don't know. But it's very, very interesting. I would love to see, is there any other portrayal of Dracula that is this powerful, you know? And then we did also have the reveal of Walter, that Walter has now switched sides, he has de-aged, and yeah, things are wrong with Walter. Now, obviously, we do know a couple things from watching the abridged, but we're not going to bring that up right this second. Knowing what he will do, you do kind of get it. But at the same time, I do kind of look at this and be like, okay, so Walter is younger now. He's back into his prime, basically. You'd think he could just kill all of them and then go and fight everyone else. I mean, like, this is Walter we're talking about. Walter was already a big threat in his old age, in his 60s or 70s or however old he was, you know? Now that he's de-aged, it's like, Walter is a threat, man. Walter is an absolute threat. But that just makes me excited for the next couple episodes. Well, next 2. We've only got 2 left, so yeah. Really, really good stuff. Really interesting stuff. And now we have the end of Anderson's character. Which, that was an interesting place to cut it, too. Because I don't think the abridged cut it there. I think they let it play out a little bit more. But, yeah, curious to see where we are going with that. But it's such an interesting thing. I also like how, you know, in the abridged, they make the joke of like, oh, Anderson doesn't want to fight Dracula. He wants to fight Alucard, and that's why he switches back. I love, though, here that there is no explanation as to why Dracula becomes Alucard again. He just does. I also like Alucard. Dracula's just kind of a nice guy, you know? Like, he's very cordial to Integra. He gives Saris a little anime girl head pat, you know? Like, Dracula was a gentleman, man. He was a monster, but he was a gentle monster. I don't know where I'm going with that. But I do like, I like the just switching back, and no, like, explained reason. He just did switch back to Alucard. Of course, this does bring up the question, is there, like, a personality difference between Dracula and Alucard? Like, are they 2 separate entities that make up the same being? I don't know. Interesting questions, though. Very, very interesting questions, and I'm excited to see where we are going next. But that is basically it. With all of that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of my Hellsing reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.